Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Thank you so much for joining us again. We're back in the workshop. Goodwood revival is done. All the Ranellas are back here, back there. There's one there. After a long wait, we can get stuck into the Porsche again. I just want to say a big thank you to Motorway for sponsoring this video. We'll have more about them in a bit. Oh, this is an exciting day. We're back on the Porsche. It's been a long time. Last thing you saw, we made this awesome aluminium bonnet with Jeff Moss down at MPH Motor Panels, and I could not be happier with it. The next thing I need to do for the restoration of the actual Porsche is to cut the front end off. I need to drill out all the spot welds, remove the whole front end. I've previously made these jigs. If you haven't seen that video, go back and watch the last couple of episodes, because making that bonnet and making those brackets was all pretty interesting. I've sort of been putting it off, if I'm honest, because I've been so nervous that once I cut that off, the whole front of the car, I've got no reference points, or very little reference points to any of that bodywork. And whether I remake a whole new front end or try and save this one, I need to have some kind of reference. It's so important that it goes back the same shape that it is now. The way to do that is to have a buck, the inside shape of the car. It's almost like a 3D template. You'd make the panels with the wheeling machine, the hammers and dollies, the shrinking machines, and you'd be laying them over these bucks. You've got registration marks, you've got the wheel arch opening where the wide edge is there, you've got reference points for the headlights and where the bonnet seal meets. It doesn't move, it doesn't flex, and it holds its shape nicely. Then you can make the steel or aluminium panels that fit over the top. And when you've got it fitting nicely on the buck, you know you're good to weld it all together, and it's going to be exactly the same shape as the original. We really needed one when we made that bonnet with Jeff. He kept saying we need a buck for this, really. The way we got around it was making these sort of contour sweeps, these sort of profile gauges almost. So over various points on the bonnet, we made these different sweeps. One went that way, one went across, and that was our reference to use that, to trace that on, to make sure the new panel was exactly the same as the original. But where do I get a buck from? I'm going a slightly different route, which is quite exciting. Stuart is on the way. Stuart is from 3D Engineers. He's going to scan the whole outside of the car. I don't know if he's going to do the inside as well. I have no idea. Then he can use that and some clever computer sorcery. Where there's a rusty bit of wing there, he can take bits from the left-hand side, flip it, put it on the right-hand side. He can actually take reference points and see if the left-hand side is the same as the right-hand side and how far off it is. Once we've got that 3D file, the world is our oyster. Bonnet, aperture, wings, front end, headlights, indicators, the whole lot. The whole front end of the car, he's going to make into a buck. That is the absolute key to getting this Porsche restored and staying the same shape that it was originally. I don't want to scan Jeff's bonnet because even though it's beautiful, it's not an original bonnet. And if I'm going to these great lengths and expense to make this buck, I want that to be scanned and made from a nice, clean original. So yes, you guessed it, I had to go out and buy another bonnet. Then I'll do the engine lid, I'll dig that down from the shelf, I think it's up there somewhere. And the biggest fear is the doors, because they have never fitted that well into the holes. Let's get into it. Firstly, I just wanted to say a big thank you so much to Motorway for partnering with us for this video. They are the UK's fastest growing used car marketplace. You can use it on their website or you can download the app. It's so simple. You basically just type in your registration, a few basic details like the mileage. You get an instant valuation that will give you an idea on how much your car's worth. The clever thing about the Motorway platform is they do all of the legwork for you. They send it out to over 5,000 different traders all over the country. You can set a reserve for your car, the minimum amount that you'll accept. So you have no danger of it being sold for less than you want. Right, there you go. You've got an offer of this much for your car. Done, sold. Motorway will arrange for the car to be picked up from your house or your workshop. It's so simple. It doesn't matter if you've got a car, a van, if it's electric or diesel, even if you've got finance on your car, it's no problem. You just input the relevant details with Motorway and they'll find you a buyer. If you are interested in using Motorway to sell your car, please click on the link below in the description. It's such a time efficient and convenient way to sell your car. Right, come on, that's enough of this. Let's get that Porsche finished. Here it is. That's it. It's been a bit of a struggle, but we're there. All of the panels are on, and I'm actually chuffed. The doors really fit quite nice. They're just pushed in the hole, but the holes in the body are the actual right size, which is good. Stuart has warned me it needs to be warm, which is absolutely not in here. And he needs lots of space around the edge of the car to get around it. I have no space at all in here. The one good thing he did say is he wants it to be dusty and dirty and not shiny. So there we go. That's one thing. Slightly surreal view here. I've got the Porsche basically preheating. I've got a couple of infrared lamps to try and warm up the body. The room's got to be dark and that's got to be warm. So I've got the lights off and the little red lamps heating it up. It looks cool. That's the laser. That's the machine.
That is the machine.
It's bigger than I was expecting.
The laser beam fires out, and this spins round, and this whole thing spins round. So you get everything within 5 meters, apart from a cone underneath it.
Right.
So.
Oh, so we're going to have a scan of the whole workshop.
You'll get a fair bit of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll get a bit of this, which we'll just chop out. Essentially, it fires out a laser beam.
Yeah.
That comes back as an XYZ coordinate, 3 digits. When we move the scanner around, as you'll see, each time the origin changes.
Yeah.
So you need to get a good bit of overlap to make sure that you can actually join it.
Join up the dots.
Or some people literally do put dots on a car. We don't do that. Or they might put markers on the floor. Again, we don't have to do that either. So essentially, if you can imagine the biggest Excel spreadsheet you can ever imagine, really, of all these different points, we can capture hundreds of thousands of points in one.
Almost like coordinates.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what they are. Yeah, exactly right. Coordinates.
The laser is on its stand. I'm under strict instruction to go nowhere near it. Isn't that right, Stuart?
It is.
Yeah. He keeps telling me.
Keep away.
Keep away. Don't go anywhere near it. He knows how clumsy I am.
So on here, you can go and set the angle of how far it goes each way.
Okay.
To save time and whatever. We're going to set the resolution. Say like we're scanning this.
Yeah.
You'd want a high resolution because it's small light. It's a reasonably small item, lots of detail. Blah blah.
Fine.
With this one, we don't need a massive resolution for 2 reasons. One, it's quite a smooth shape. For the areas that we need to get detail on, the scan will be done from a whole heap of different angles, so it'll be a lot of overlay. So what I'll do is I'll set the resolution to 40. Now basically the resolution doesn't affect the accuracy. The accuracy will always be the same. It's just the amount of points it's collecting over a particular scan. Button to scan. So what it will do is this will spin round once, if not a bit. Sometimes it spins round twice for some reason best known to itself. And what it's doing in effect is just setting itself for its initial first scan.
Sort of calibrating itself, doing a little.
Better, see it better than me.
Yeah.
What I don't want to do is do a great big scan, waste 5 or 10 minutes, and then find it's rubbish. And I've got to go and do.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Just do a section.
Yeah. So the one that'll interest me here is this bit.
The shiny bit.
Yeah. The car's just gradually coming into view as it's.
Oh yeah.
Red is bad. Every other colour is good.
Oh, will it be in colour?
No, it's black and white. But if it's red, if it shows up as a red on here,
yeah,
that means we've got more work to do. And if it goes and shows up a red, my gut reaction is it's going to be that.
In the middle of the bonnet. Okay.
The bonnet there. We've got solutions to that.
So the red areas are areas where
it just hasn't picked it up, or it's out of range.
It's like warning, kind of like this didn't work.
This room's good because it's pointing at something that's probably out of range. So I'll be able to describe it.
Yeah.
Straight. Here we go. Oh, happy days. So we look here. Look.
Oh, there's a lot of red, but okay.
But it's all stuff that we don't want because it's generally out of range. What I normally do is trim all this off, get rid of all this information here that isn't the car.
Yep.
Before I transfer it to the new program.
Okay.
But just because it's easier to see it.
Visualize it.
To visualize
wow.
it. So there you go. You've got virtually
Wow.
the whole
In no
thing.
time at all. They did that in like a few minutes.
Yeah, and it collected 9.9, almost 10 million points. So if you see here already, we've got.
Look at that.
It's looking better now. So we've got every little bit.
Oh no, you can see all the dents.
Yeah. So we've got the dents. We've got. Let me just go and do that.
That is amazing.
So
Looks good on there, doesn't it?
it does, and it's not just a pretty picture, because if you look here, this is what's called a point cloud. You'll see it is what it says on the tin, a whole lot of points.
It's all dots. Yeah.
So that's what I was describing to you. So basically, you have y, I don't know, minus 1.5 meters, x, whatever. So each point, each of those
dots has got an individual
has
coordinate.
got its own coordinate.
An own x, y.
And
yeah.
to show that, well, it doesn't show the words, but to give you an example, it's not just a pretty picture. If we then go and measure the distance, you could pick any point to any point, and you see there, so that's 1 point.
Yeah.
So if we run a tape measure over that.
That will be 1.15. Right.
Yeah. So we've got this scan here. That's the, and this one. So all I have to do is just click on 3 places in roughly the right place. You'll see this one joined together. I like this bit because it gets a bit funky. So if we could then go to the global, you'll see it shuffle together.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's actually lining it up.
It's actually lining it up. So basically I've given it a bit of a help, and now it's lining itself
Wow.
up. Can you see that like mottled effect, the yellow and green?
Yeah.
That means that basically they're coincident, they're right on top of each
They're right
other.
on top of each other, so it's all lining up
So
nicely.
it's all really good, yeah.
I think Stuart's going to work his way round the car. That's why I've had to pull it into the middle of the workshop. So we just got to piece together as it goes round. As it's overlapping every time, the computer sort of joins them all together. It's fascinating. Oh, we're going again. I'm right in the way. So that's the first warning we've had on the actual car. The bottom of the door down there is red. That means it has not scanned that bit. I've got a feeling that's going to be rust. Is it shiny? Oh, it is shiny down there. Oh yeah, it's not rusty. Yeah.
It might well pick it up from a different angle anyway.
Yeah.
If ultimately it hasn't done, then I'll just throw a bit of spray on it. I might even throw a bit of spray on it.
Spray some now, yeah. So we'll spray some stuff on it to dull it down a bit, rescan it, and then the computer will sort of merge the two, hopefully.
That's all we need. Don't need to go mental with it.
Oh, I went a bit heavier on the bonnet.
There you go.
Is that it?
That should do, yeah.
You reckon? Wow.
Yeah, so it's all dots. Yeah?
Wow.
Okay. So the next stage is, if you can imagine the tips of your fingers being each one being a dot, there's space between them. So you need to create a surface to in effect press against. So the next stage is to go and join each of those 3 fingers to create a triangle, and there's be loads of them, hundreds of thousands,
Okay.
millions.
Yeah.
So if we just go and cut out this, just as a quick demo.
So that is my rear wing. The rear.
That is the rear
quarter
wing
panel. Yeah.
So just to prove that, it's there. Look, it's
Yeah.
literally a copy and paste of that particular area. So there you go. So that proves
Wow.
that how good. So you can see here. So now, if we scroll in, we've got 150,000 just about little triangles which have been converted. If you see that would have been a point, a point.
Yeah.
Now you've got yourself a little triangle. Well, we can go in.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, perfect. That's not a smooth surface because the wing is dented, or it's just picking up surface texture and things like that.
A combination of both, really,
Yeah.
but mainly because it's dented. But also, it's not at this stage. This isn't. Well, it is a CAD surface, but it isn't a CAD surface any CAD guides doing a body would actually like to deal with.
Right.
So I could just auto surface it, but I'll just show you how that kind of like works. So I'll just draw out a few polygons. But in essence, I'll just add some, we call them loops. Well, everyone calls them loops. if I go and just say that's okay, then all of a sudden, as opposed to all those triangles, we've just got one surface that we can then deal with.
Wow.
And you can see the curvature on there. The zebra stripes, so again...
So you say reflection, so you can get every little... I mean, we won't need to, but you could get every little dent out from looking at the lines.
So basically it's work, but you can do... You can take it as far as you can. The scans that have been joined up already...
They're all merged to one now, are they?
No, they're all separate, but you can see there, look.
Oh yeah, the front,
Yeah.
One, there's two, there's three.
So then we've got this new scan, which we're getting around the back.
It's facing completely the wrong way.
Facing completely the wrong way, exactly right. So we'll just go and... So all I've got to do is just find just roughly 3 points. Must be a bit too roughly. So you see there, that's not matched very well at all, but hopefully the computer will do it and you'll see it all sort of jiggle itself together with a bit of luck. There you go.
Whoa,
so you can see that mottled effect.
That's good.
That is a good sign. So we've got this hole here. We could keep spraying stuff. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to go and fill it in.
The dots there, it's dented anyway.
So add on, pin that, so we can't, basically I pin them so they can't move.
Look
so now
at the detail is.
So now we've got
2/3 of the car.
Yeah.
We've got the roof, the top of the bonnet, everything all the way around. It's looking good. Now the scanner is on the floor, looking up, getting all the kind of returns and inside edges and lips of all the little wheel arch details. So we're going to do another lap around the Porsche, scanning all the underside, looking up. But there's so many other uses for 3D scanning.
Yeah.
Are there not? I mean, what sort? Do you just do cars?
No, we've done coffins.
Coffin?
Yeah.
Why would you want to scan a coffin?
She wanted to have a coffin that was like where you were put into the ground in like a fetus shape. We've done aircraft. We've done faces, boats, ships, engine rooms. Car-wise, we've done 400 cars. Something like that.
400.
I mean, a lot of them are people where they want their cars sort of protected, so they've got like a record in case they get smashed up.
I guess if they're racing it, they want to make sure the new body, if they do crash it, the new body is the same before they crash it.
So in other words, the data's just archived off. Yeah, so it's quite a lot of stuff, and literally all over the world as well. So
it's so clever. If anybody out there has any need for 3D scanning, 3D engineers are your guys. And Stuart has said, if you mention that you've found him through this video, he'll sort you out.
In other words, we'll do you a deal.
He'll look after you. This is the last scan. We're nearly there. This is the bonnet, the third scan of the bonnet. We're being quite thorough with this bonnet. We've gone front, back, up the other way around to make sure we get all the little bits, because I want to make sure the buck for the bonnet, even though I've already got the bonnet that Jeff's made, I'm determined to make my own one. And this is going to help us no end. Right, that's it. Final scan, complete. It looks incredible. This is as finished. Well, no, not finished.
No, we've got a few more to add.
A few more to add.
They're on here, but they need to be added.
Yeah, basically the last few scans that we've grabbed need to be added into this 3D drawing. So it's not completely finished, but look how good this is looking.
This is what's been joined together so far.
So you're confident that there's enough in there for you?
Oh, 100% confident, yeah. Yeah, very, very good.
Once all of the pieces, all the images have been put together and you've got that final model, you're able to sort of cut it down the middle and mirror left to right. So we can actually see how far off the left-hand wheel opening is to the right-hand wheel opening.
Yeah, and then take a view as to which is the one we're going to use.
Or somewhere in the middle.
Exactly right.
So,
yeah.
or-
I mean,
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's an old car, so we've just got to take a view on the best way forward.
Yeah, and then I'm not saying that I want it to be. I think you're along the same lines that if it's not absolutely perfect either side, the buck doesn't necessarily have to be perfect because the car was never perfect.
Correct. Yeah.
So we're not striving for absolute perfection on side to side because that would almost be inaccurate to the restoration of such an old handmade car. So it's a tricky minefield we're kind of treading through here, but luckily Stuart knows what he's doing, so we're all good.
I hope so, no, it'll be all right.
The first thing Stuart's going to go away and do is work on these drawings and make a buck for the bonnet and the front end, and which means I can actually now cut the front end off. So that is going to be a future video in a few weeks. So stay tuned. That's good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's all right.